This Thanksgiving may be the first many families get together again for the holiday in a year, but that doesn't mean Uncle Joe won't ruffle your feathers a bit.
Families fight and debate, but that doesn't mean they love each other less. Blanca Cobb, who has a master's in psychology, joins us today to talk about how you can keep the peace over the turkey.
Yeah, so Blanca, with the pandemic going on, we're living in a climate that can easily spark debate. So what do you do if someone brings up masking or vaccinations at the table and you disagree with them?
Listen, just listen. Nobody says that you have to participate in the discussion. You can listen to someone and you can nod your head. That lets them know that you're listening. Doesn't necessarily mean that you agree. Just hear them out and see what happens. Sometimes people just want to be validated. They want to be heard. And then the conversation goes nowhere else. So that's a first place to start, is just by listening.
Sometimes people can have respectful conversations about political differences. How can you tell if a conversation, though, starts going south? Because often they do.
Yeah, so whether it's politics or whether it has to do with the pandemic, whatever the topic is, when someone starts talking faster, their baseline changes, they talk faster and louder and they put their hands down and they're like, yeah, but, or they're enlisting somebody else for help. Hey, Mary, come over here. Tell them how you feel about this. You know, when they start getting more people involved in the conversation, you're going to feel ganged up on. And so again, when that baseline behavior changes and they get louder and they get faster and there's a lot of yeah buts where they're not listening, they're talking over you, then you know the conversation is going south very quickly.
Okay, and then obviously you do want to kind of diffuse the situation then. So how can you do that or even steer clear of those conversations completely?
One is that you got to keep your cool. This means you have to watch your own tone of voice, watch your own body language to make sure that you're not getting tense, right? And then you can say things like, I hear you. We see it differently. I hear what you're saying, Bob. I just see it differently than you do. That's it. Or you can say something like, you know, to keep it light, well, we're not going to talk about politics at the table. We'll talk about it later. When you give somebody a time frame and say, we'll talk about it later, no one's saying what year later, but you're saying later. That's enough for people to feel like they're being heard. And a lot of people can wait until later comes. They may not even bring it up again. However, some people will, and then you'll have to decide whether you want to have that conversation. But have these types of conversations away from an audience. The more people around, it's almost like adding fuel to a fire, and a conversation just can get heated very quickly.
Well, Blanca, thank you for all the advice. I know this is something that every family probably deals with at some point or another. I know it's happened in my family before, so it's great to know what to do, how to handle those situations, and kind of divert the conversation.
I think you almost have to put rules in place, like when you come to my house, we're not going to talk about this, we're not going to talk about X, Y, Z. I know when I hang out with some of my friends, we're like, for this hour and a half, we're not talking about work. No talk about work, no looking at emails, no complaining.
That's so hard for people in television, isn't it, Lauren?
It is.
Such a hard time not talking about. I do like what she said with just listening and nodding your head. I'm classic for if that starts and it's a group of people standing around, I'll just slowly walk away and ghost to another group. Or you could always use the cell phone thing. Oh, hold on. That's the out.
I like that one.
I think for me, it's really easy to kind of be chill because I'm full. You know, when you're hungry, you're a little bit more antsy and irritable. But when you're full from a Thanksgiving meal, I'm more than likely to kind of brush things off. So I think that helps it being on Thanksgiving, that more than likely I'll be too full to really sit there and argue with anybody. When I'm full and I'm just chilling, I don't got the energy
I like
to
that.
exert.
Too full to argue.
I like that too. Or you can, just enjoy the football game, unless your team is playing your family member's team. Then I guess that's a whole nother conversation, right?